Hi, my name is Yvonne Pereira, and I just want to talk to you guys a little bit about what my experience was in a dinner that might seem normal for others, but for me it definitely wasn't. Just want to start off by talking about the definition of karma, and that it's literally the fate in future existence. And I grew up knowing it as you get karma like what it like comes back around type thing. And so in this specific sense it sort of did. Like, I specifically remember moments in my life where I laughed at Christianity and their seriousness about the relationship with Jesus. It was just like unknown for me and my family. I wasn't raised that way and I didn't understand why. And so for my intercultural experience, I joined a non-denominational pastor and his family for dinner. So where does karma come into play in this situation? Well, when I became a Christian myself and I participated in the very things that I used to laugh about. And so that's what led me here. I've never experienced a dinner with a Christian family, and I've never been able to see how God has impacted a household as it had during my time. So before I explain the dinner, I want to walk through how I appeared at Pastor Matt's house, because it's not really a thing where you just show up people's houses and have dinner. So for about a year and a half, I've been attending a church in downtown Cape Girardeau, and I've known Pastor Matt from church, and this past semester we would sing together for a church service. As a reminder, I never saw myself singing to Jesus at church and becoming friends with my pastor. Again, something totally new for me. And as I continued to investigate Christ and grow in my love for him, I participated in the church more and more. Eventually, I ended up having dinner with Pastor Matt and became the first Christian family to have me over for dinner in my college career. It's not every day where a family just invites you to have a home-cooked meal for just to get to know you. I've been used to swiping my meal card, and so it was just a really cool opportunity to be able to have this. So already I was entering this moment just totally nervous about going into this home that I'm not sure of. Like, I've only met his wife a couple times, and I've met his kids a couple times, and I'm not very good with kids, and so it was just a very normal atmosphere, and so abnormal, should I say, I'm sorry. And so I arrived at his house and I knocked on the door, and it was just an overwhelming feeling of just positivity entered when they opened the door and greeted me. And I was greeted by a 5-year-old and a 9-year-old, and they were eagerly excited to have me there. And I was just like, whoa, like, this is so much, but I can't really tell them to get off me, so I didn't, but it was okay. And as I continued further into the house, it was just so bright, and there was just canvases all over the walls filled with scripture, and it was very much just a house filled with joy, and you can just see it everywhere you went. And I was approached by Rebecca, which is Pastor Matt's wife, and she was finishing setting up the table, and she's like, hey, how do you feel about potato soup? And so obviously I said I love it, because for one, like, that would be totally awkward if I told her, no, I'm vegan. Or not vegan, they eat potatoes. But like if I was allergic to potatoes. So anyways, I just thought that was incredibly sweet for her to even though she didn't ask me previously if I wanted to eat this, like, she still cooks like a second option for me if I didn't like potato soup. So that was totally cool of her. And anyways, I did like potato soup, and we hugged each other. And so I feel like this generation has become like a generation of hugging. Like, I hug my friends, but when I'm approached with an adult, like, I get that like awkward, like, should we hug right now, should we not, I'm not sure, I don't know. So we did hug it out, so that was really cool. And it wasn't awkward, like, it was just like, here, this is natural for us to just hug it out. And so my pastor has 4 kids, a 13-year-old, 11, a 9-year-old, and a 5-year-old. So it's definitely a full house. And kids are certainly not something that I'm an expert in, or will I want to babysit. Like, it's definitely a job that I don't typically want to do. So being around kids made me nervous, because I felt like I it was just, I don't know, it just made me nervous. But there's no explanation for it. But these kids were so different in the way of just like they held themselves so like mature in a way, and it could just be like just the household, maybe that's the way it is, but I genuinely felt like these kids were able to hold themselves together the way they did because they knew Jesus and they knew that their parents loved Jesus. It was just something, that a connection that I just made of like, man, like these kids weren't disciplined, like these kids were just shown, like they were just able to observe what their parents were like, and that's how they react in a sense. I don't really know, but the kids were really cool, and I enjoyed talking to them, talking about our days, like sitting around that table. It was like a genuine, like, I want to hear about you and your day, and it was very, very much not something that, like, you know, it was, Rebecca had asked me, like, oh, like, how's your break been and stuff like that, and so I definitely felt like in different experiences, whenever that's asked, you know, you just say, oh, it's been good, like, pretty relaxing, but I felt like at that table, I was free to just open up and just genuinely talk about my break and what it's been like and what I've done, and so that was really cool to experience. And towards the end of the dinner, Rebecca just pulled out a journal, and so she explained to me that what it was, and it was basically, they call it a thankful journal, and we all just went around and she wrote down what we were all thankful for. And so it was just really cool for her to open up that journal, and you could see like there was a huge chunk already written out, and it was literally just like page after page of just different dinner experiences where they just had written down what they were thankful for. And so I thought that was super neat to be able to, you know, just in a really sad day, pull out that journal and just read what the 5-year-old thought he was thankful for. Like, in that day, he was thankful for Legos. And it was just, like, really cool to see that happen. And that was kind of a rough summary of what that dinner was like. And so I kind of just, like, want to break it down to what that means and what I observed from it and what I learned new. And there was so much to be observed from this dinner. And what I had this family dinner compared to was just my own family and how we experienced dinner. So for us, it was very much, dinner is like a time we all get together and like we just talk about random things, which most dinners are. And so it was like, it was much different but similar from my family dinners compared to theirs. And so I think that the first part is that in a Christian culture, they're called to be welcoming to all people. And so oftentimes I don't think it's something that, like, you know at the back of your head, like, oh, they're supposed to be welcoming, but it's like until you actually experience it, not only like walking into church you feel very welcome, but like in this household I felt very welcomed, and it didn't feel like they were trying so hard. I just felt like they truly wanted to welcome me into their house. And so their house was just like, just their walls were welcoming, like what their walls said. And I had a conversation with Rebecca of just like how she decorated her house, is that each verse on her wall represented something that they wanted their house to say, which sounds weird, but you know, like I can't remember what verse was on there, but there was just one that stuck out to me about like anxiousness, and how she's just specifically said, it was like, this verse is just like, sometimes people will come to our house just having a lot of anxiety, and so if they just glance at that verse and if that helps them just a little bit to calm themselves, then I think that wall serves a purpose, and that's to point people to Jesus. And so I thought that was really cool of like, I don't think I've ever met anybody that put up a canvas to serve other people. I have a canvas in my room that I read for myself if I ever need like a pickup, but like I don't think I put that on my wall for others to see. It was mainly for me. So I thought that was really cool for them to do that and to say that. And also whenever I walked in, Rebecca was like finishing setting the table up, but the kids were willingly helping her. Like, there were some that were just talking on the couch and stuff, but like I specifically remember having the 5-year-old asked to put the spoons in place. Like, it was just really weird. Like, maybe they just enjoy it and that's just who they are, but I certainly never helped my mom set the table. If anything, my mom, once we got older, my mom was just like, fend for yourself, like, set the table yourself. But the biggest change for me that I experienced, and something that I think that I've learned in this chapter, that that this is just like a culture norm, but for other people it might not be, but it's just something that you have to like to experience and learn about. And that's something of like holding hands together to pray. And so like me becoming a Christian, I've obviously like prayed and like prayed with other people, but like I didn't understand why like holding hands and praying together was so important in a dinner. And so that was just the biggest change for me, just because my family never did that. Like, we were family and we never like held hands to pray and stuff, but like during this time, like, we all held hands to pray. And I think that that just represents, I guess, another biblical way of looking at it, of, man, like, they're praying and they're holding hands with me because they believe that like we're all one body of Christ. Therefore, like, we can come together and pray during this time to just like be thankful that we can sit here together and eat this meal. And so I've never like held hands with just like random people, and it was just a really great experience, and I enjoyed it a lot. And it was just something that reminded me of like during that time, we like Pastor Matt just prayed about just how thankful he was about this, so many things, but specifically about this dinner and being able to invite me over, and then having a thankful journal. I think that also just represents like another biblical way of thinking of like we should just be thankful for what the Lord has provided for us. And so that was something new for me to think about and to enter in this dinner of like, man, those little things that we got to talk about and be thankful for during dinner. Like, those little things do matter, and they make us feel good to remember that these are things we can be thankful for and not everybody can get. And so it was definitely like, and it was just cool because what I said I was thankful for was new experiences, and this was definitely a new experience that I got to grow from and learn more about. And I was super thankful for this experience to step into a Christian household. So overall, like, becoming a Christian during my college years have allowed me to embrace and experience a new culture. That's like a whole story in itself. So being able to sit through a meal and acknowledge the Christian life in just one dinner was inspiring to take in. Karma got me good, and man, did it give me a great outlook on future Christian family dinners and what that will look like. And maybe one day I'll invite a college student into my home for a home-cooked meal, and maybe they will film themselves in a video and talk about it. But I just want to thank you guys for watching this video, and just hearing about my new experience. And yeah, thank you so much.